Entrepreneurship looks great on the outside. Freedom, money, success. But the truth, most people don't make it. Not because they aren't talented, but because they aren't ready for the hard parts. The mental battles, the sacrifices, the pressure. It's all about the journey. So what separates the one who succeed from the ones who quits? In this episode, Miles breaks down the real truth about entrepreneurship, what they don't tell you, what it actually takes to win. Let's get into it.
Welcome to episode 8 of Finding Rhythm, and let's rip it.
We got some hard questions for you today, Miles. Are you ready for them?
I'm ready.
All right. Miles, if you had to describe entrepreneurship in one word, what would it be and why?
Entrepreneurship in one word. I would say that it would be resilience or resilient. And why would be because you go down a journey of a lot of unknowns and you're faced with like a ton of no's and setbacks and obstacles and problems. And, you know, you think you got something working and then something comes from nowhere and you're faced with a lot of adversity. And really the name of the game is just to keep going. So I feel like being resilient is a good word for entrepreneurship.
Why do you think most people get a false idea of what entrepreneurship is really like?
Yeah, I think now because entrepreneurship got really cool and the barrier to entry got really, really low, you know, with the kind of explosion of the internet and all the tools and the ability to start a business, which is a great thing, which is an absolute great thing. But the barrier to entry got really easy. So a lot of people got in there. And then I think there's a lot of, like smoke and mirrors out there where people are putting out there like just the highlight reels. And there's also like this kind of like subcategory where people are building businesses being like, I'll teach you how to build a business, even though they might have not ever done it. And then they're like, oh, like I'm killing my business doing this, but I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm on X now, Twitter, and I see a lot of people posting a lot of shit, and half the time I'm like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I think you guys are I think you're lying to get people into your funnel and you can sell them a course or something. So I think a lot of people are fronting and not being truthful of all the pieces. No, there's a ton of people that are out there, and those are the people I like to follow and interact with. So yeah.
What's the hardest part of building a business that no one really talks about?
The hardest part is just the amount of delayed gratification that you have to go through. I think if it's something that you are not comfortable with and you kind of need something to work really quickly, and the longer you can delay it, the better it will be, or the better the business can be. What was the question? How did you frame it?
What was the hardest part of building a business that no one really talks about?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, just the time that it takes. To get real traction, right? I think that you can go have the idea, right? Start the business. And I do see this a lot too. Have the idea, and then they do all the like business things. I got a name, I got a logo, I got a website, I got social media handles, I got some content out there, right? I got my first product or service, right? Like, and you could spend like 2 months doing that stuff, right? And it's all fun and exciting too, but it's not like the real shit yet. Then it's like, okay, how am I getting customers, right? Like getting customers and then delivering product too. Then it's like you're going to hit this point where you're in like the trenches where it's a struggle to kind of get traction going, and it takes, longer than you think. But if you could stick with it, then you're going to get kind of the compounding effects after. But the beginning part is just like the dark unknown of the journey that you're going to go through.
Was there a moment where you thought about quitting, and how did you push through that?
Yeah, I actually saw this. I was thinking of this question before because a lot of my like entrepreneurial career, I just kind of had horse blinders up, like where I was just like, go, 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 go. Also, I'm just thinking of this now. At the beginning, right, like did the lace belt, was partnered with my uncle. It was like, wasn't a real like business. It was just like create a product and then got manufacturing, got distributor, and then like products got sold. So it was like not like a lot of effort that went into it. And then, we went on Dragon's Den. It was like all exciting, right? And then I went to college and started summer skates. And I was just so lucky that I found a supplier, right? Then I got samples made, found someone to help me bring it into the country, sold throughout those from like friends and family and kind of people locally too. A lot of one-to-one sales. So that was a win. And then I met Kevin, and then Kevin brought like some investors into it. And then we kind of started building out that business, and it was a lot of like wins, right? Like launched a product, everything started working. And then we even got past like the year 1 and 2, and then things started to compound out and getting bigger and bigger. Plus this was like the biggest business I had ever been a part of too, business number 2. So not that hard to beat the first one. But it was like up. Then I did the big ball and did a Kickstarter. Then I got auditioned back to, or invited back onto Dragon's Den, did that thing. So it was like a lot of wins, but then I got kicked in the teeth and like beaten down for like probably 2 years straight or longer, which I guess it was kind of going through the big ball stuff and the manufacturing problems, because I had poured like a lot of personal money into this business. And I do remember like coming home once, it's so funny too how I naturally like remove it from my memory. But I do remember going to Elisa and being like, I don't know if I can like, how am I supposed to do this? Like, I don't know what happened. Maybe it was the second manufacturer like went out of business during COVID time, but I was like absolutely kicked in the teeth too. But it wasn't like I was going to stop entrepreneurship. It was just like, how do I come over this obstacle for one of the businesses, I guess.
With entrepreneurship, there's a lot of loneliness. You're by yourself starting your own business. How does this loneliness and isolation impact entrepreneurs? How do you handle it?
Yeah, it is definitely like kind of the lonely road. That is part of the reason that I do want to like make this content and kind of hopefully, build a little community of like-minded people to be kind of more connected with. I think we got like 22 people to watch the last one, so we're getting there. Once it's over 100, we're in the money. To connect with kind of like-minded people that are maybe going through similar things. How did I deal with it before? I didn't. I bottled it all in and didn't talk about it, and just dealt with it internally in my own mind, which is not recommended at all. Because when you do that, you kind of like bottle stuff in, and then like you break and then have like a little meltdown. But luckily I got a amazing wife that is there. I'm much better now to just openly communicate what's going on. So
how do you deal with the self-doubt or the feeling of imposter syndrome?
If you believe in yourself more and more based off of like past actions, right? So really at the beginning of it, because everything is new and you haven't done anything, it's kind of impossible to not feel that way. Even today, it's like there's always going to be a creep of doubt, but the belief in yourself gets stronger and stronger when you have a track record, right? So, yeah, I guess that's my answer.
What habits or mindset shifts do you have that helped you stay resilient during all of your businesses?
Yeah, my mindset was I'm just a crazy person. Like that was like it's just, I don't know why, but my brain is wired this way. So it's like because there's like no like second thoughts of it. Like there was no like I can't do this. Let's just go get a job. Right. And I lived off like the thinnest margins of like personal finances of all time. Because I would pour everything like into a business or the next business or, I was living life at, $6 in the bank account often, and then it would go up and then it'd go down, then go up, then go down. But it never even crossed my mind to be like, forget all this. Let's go get a job.
What's something you had to sacrifice to grow your businesses?
There you go. The personal finances for sure. The personal finances, and I think like just like leisure time, relaxing time. Which, as I think about it, a lot of it is just self-inflicted too, right? Because you can turn it off, but when you're designing kind of your own game of life, and business is a big piece of it, of the game that you play. It's fun for me, right? Like my default mode is let's just do more business, right? I think yesterday was like an absolutely insane day. I was probably 15 different meetings, and Tuan was in here, and he's like, "Oh, you trying to get like everything done so you could hang out and watch the Super Bowl?" And I'm like, I am laughing because it made me think. I'm like, number one, it's an infinite list. The list will never, ever, ever end, right? And I'm fully aware of that the list will never end. So that's a helpful kind of mindset shift, that the list never ends. So just how do you kind of balance it with the rest of your life, which getting better at that as I get older. But even if it's like I have like the top tasks done, if I have too much time, I'll just like go down a rabbit hole of like a new idea or a new project because it's fun for me. So
What would you say to somebody who thinks entrepreneurship means instant success?
I would laugh hysterically at them.
What's the real separator between those who succeed and those who don't?
Like what's the best way to describe like just waiting it out or not quitting? Like not quitting. That's the biggest the only way I can lose is if I quit. That type of mindset of it.
There's a quote actually. The night is always darkest before the dawn.
There you go.
And what's one piece of advice you wish you knew earlier in your journey?
That it's going to take 2 years for any business that you start or anything that you work on. It's going to take 2 years to kind of build the foundations that you need to actually start building the business of it. I think now that I know that too, and it's like if you can't give yourself like 5 years to build the business, right? Like there's no real point of you like kind of getting into it, because it's the first 2 years of it is like these foundational pieces that of the puzzle pieces that you got to put together before you can actually like get it going. And then it's like, okay, year 3, you start to get some traction. Then like year 4, you get momentum. And then year 5, like stuff starts compounding. And then if you know anything about compounding, it's like.
So with all that being said, what's one message that you would give somebody if they're struggling in their business right now?
To reframe what the goals are, right? Like it's going to be hard, right? Like it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, but you shouldn't be struggling, right? there's something that's broken in kind of your framework of what it is that you're building out or what it is that you're working on to give you the feeling of struggle, right? You can have the feeling of like, wow, this is hard or this is difficult and it takes a lot of work, but the feeling of struggling, something isn't matching up. So I would say just kind of reframing where you are and what the goals are right in front of you. And, this kind of goes to in the life philosophy of like, set that goal and vision for what you want. So now we're in the context of working on your business. Set that goal or vision, make the plan, break it down into the steps. The steps are what's going to make it an achievable plan of it, right? You can't just go from, you're at level 1 right here and it started achieving level 77. You got to go like 1 to 9 to 27 to 36 to 47, all the way up the ladder. So vision, then the plan, and then you just go on to the mission of executing the work of it. And along that that's where you're celebrating milestones along the way. And then of course the end, rest, reflect, and repeat it. But using that framework of it, break it down into smaller things. Like if you're stuck, it's like tomorrow I need to tell 3 people about who I am and what I sell, or who I am and what I do. That's all. And that could be, I message 3 people on Facebook that are my friends. I Google 3 businesses I want to work out and I call them, like we're breaking it down into micro things to kind of build the building blocks of it.
What's been the hardest part of your entrepreneurial journey? Drop a comment. I want to hear your story. Please like and subscribe and stay tuned for more.